Let's talk about some facts regarding the mind. According to various polls, roughly half of Americans either believe that failing to identify people with mental health problems is the primary cause of gun violence. A dictionary definition describes mental illnesses as health conditions involving changes in thinking, emotion, or behaviors, as well as a combination of these aspects. There is strong bipartisan support for background checks for all gun buyers, and most think measures like better mental health treatment would do a lot of help as well. Some laws prohibit those who have already been committed to a mental institution from purchasing a gun, and a majority of states have laws requiring them to report mental health information to the National Background Check System. An analysis that was presented of 47 different brain imaging studies of adults confirmed that the findings of those with antisocial behavior, particularly those with a history of violent behavior, had both structural and functional differences in their prefrontal cortex. It was smaller in size and less active, as compared to those who did not have these behaviors. Nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience some form of mental illness. A study was concluded and evidence showed that the large majority of people with mental disorders do not engage in violence whatsoever, and that the most violent behavior is due to other factors. Those can include access to firearms, wounded masculinity, and media. The mental health of those who have survived and or were victims of a tragedy can also be in a poor state. According to the National Center for Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, though PTSD in children and teens can include post-traumatic play or reenactment through play, drawings, or how they talk. For example, a child who witnesses or experiences a shooting may play more shooting games. The CDC, or the Centers of Disease Control, found that more adverse childhood experiences also means a higher risk to physical health, including asthma, diabetes, and heart disease, as well as decreased economic and educational opportunities. Now let's take it to Mr. Holden, who will talk about the psychology behind a tragedy like Parkland.
In criminals, they've done a lot of scans of some criminals' activity in their brains, and it's shown that the amygdala and the frontal lobe is smaller. A lot of criminals have a very low fear conditioning, so they're not fearful of many things, even at a young age. They don't have much regret or guilt or remorse. It affects them in how they're dealing with their emotions. And as far as the frontal lobe goes, this takes a long time to develop in a person. In young adulthood, all the way up into mid-20s before it's fully developed. So with that, you're going to have a lot of impulsivity. That there's a lot of factors involved, social issues in a person being able to do these crimes. One article that I got a hold of really talked about school shootings and how it's really males that are doing it. They don't admit that they need help. They're not sure how to ask for help. If they do any of these things, a lot of times within society or even within their household, maybe with their fathers, it's seen as a sign of weakness. I just talked about this in my class with bullying. It's not a new thing. Bullying's been around for a long time. But the difference today is you can't really tell who the bully is. Today, it could be anybody, any size, hurting people with the stroke of a keypad. You have to deal with a lot more of that stuff on social media that was not around when I was growing up. It does lend to this.